Hey. Good afternoon. And today you are listening to Brown Skin. What is brown skin? The clear and uncut conversations about us. Today's guest is Noele Celeste. Good afternoon, Noele.
Hey, Miss Mel.
Hey, I decided to do brown skin. It was something that was on my heart long time, a few years now. And I said, we have to talk about us. This is even before the whole Black Lives Matter. The social injustices have always been going on, but we need to discuss us and the conversations about us because let's be real. We know that the white people, and I'm just going to keep it real, WIPIPO, and the Caucasians, or anybody, of other ethnicities that want to understand. Yeah, they want to understand us and don't know how. So a lot of the times, a lot of people aren't racist or dislike us. It's just they just don't know. So I said, let me create a platform, even though I was talking about filming the remember I was going to do the documentary years ago, Brown Skin, years, like 10 years ago, to have these open discussions. And I said, you know what, Mel, you got the platform. Let's just do it right now. So today we're going to talk about natural hair. And then we'll discuss, you guys, those of you who know me from Shop Talk with Mel, I'm going to bring in little Kim. Yes, I am. I got to bring in a little bit just so that people can understand that some of us don't enjoy the skin that we're in or like the skin that we're in, and we were born into it. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about when back before gay marriages were legalized, and then once President Obama, excuse me for the speaking, President Obama made it legal. They were saying that gay is the new black. I kind of got offended by that. Do you remember that?
No, I do not.
Woo, girl. They said gay is the new black. Like, okay, we have did it. And I had a problem with that because I said gay is not the new black. Get out of here, because here's the deal. When we wake up in the morning, when we walk out the door, they can see that we're black. Can't nobody see that you're gay?
No.
You know what I mean? So, that I was kind of upset about.
And maybe they were referring to that as more blacks are taking that route now, or more African Americans are taking that route now. That could have been the connotation behind that statement.
What, the gay route?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there were a lot of black people that were gay back in the day. Let's think back, without dating ourselves. We just didn't know. It was like a few.
That's what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Right. So now it's more of, it's okay to express that, who you are or who you identify to be.
See, operative words, key words, who you identify to be. We walk out the door, we don't have to identify to be.
When you look at
already, me, yeah, you know what I am. So that's where that's where I want to go with this platform. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the mistreatments that are there. And speaking to a few of my friends that are Caucasian, it's some of them don't know. Like the term white fragility. Are you familiar with that term?
White what?
Fragility.
Oh, okay. Being fragile?
Yeah, white fragility. Okay, prime example. We were at work, and this black girl come late every day. Now, the term, we always be like, oh, black people always late. You hear that phrase constantly. Well, instead, she was so fragile about saying it because I was sitting there and the other girl was there, Jill. I'll just say Jill was there with me, right? I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I said, I feel for you. And I said her name. I said, I feel for you. She said, why? Because they both looked, they heard the door open. They both looked at each other and they went like this. I'm laughing because I had just got me a pedicure, so I'm changing my shoes out. And I said, I started laughing. I said, I know what that was about. I said, I feel so bad for you. I said, you know why? I said, because I could say it and be like, you always late. And I said, and everything is fine. I said, but let you say it?
It's
Straight
gonna
to
be a
HR.
whole nother beast. It's gonna be
Straight
a
to
whole
HR.
right.
So, and that is where, that's an example of white fragility. It's like, I don't even know what to say anymore. And then you do
Or
have,
if it's okay to say that.
if it's okay to say it. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, we can say whatever we want to say, but they can't say what they want to say. I gotta get one of my white people to come up on here and talk about that, because it's white fragility. But is it fair? Is it fair?
No, I mean nobody being put in a position that is uncomfortable is fair. So no, that's not fair.
Okay. I'm just
No,
trying to.
I don't think anybody should, have to sit on pins and needles. That would be just like for us with them. You know what I mean? You have to watch what you say to them, in a work environment, because that can really turn
And flip.
nasty. Yes.
Now, that same particular person that's always late, she does say some things that are really rude to me, and she'll say y'all. But if a white person says she'll say you people, but if a white person says you people, oh, everybody going nuts. So it's like, okay, we can do it, and we can do it, but you can't do it. So we use it to our advantage, but you can't use it, because now we got to go to HR, and this is an issue, a racial issue.
But remember, this is coined for many, many years, that we were referred to as you people, which was a negative for us, right? So that has carried along. That has not changed. So when you hear that from some other ethnicity, it becomes offensive. Because it doesn't just have to come from a Caucasian person.
Okay.
It could come from an Indian. Prime example, my job. I was working for an Indian guy. And he said, you people are on welfare.
So was he speaking you as American people?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And I'm in the office with him. It's just him and I. And I got sorely offended, because he was saying that African Americans are mostly on welfare because they don't want to work.
And we know.
But there's a lot of people that are on welfare.
Untrue.
Absolutely. And I had to sit him down and see, he picked that up from somewhere else.
Right. It feels like it was a learned.
Like absolutely, it was. You could really tell that it was a learned thing. And he ran his practice that way too.
Okay. So meaning if you needed care, he knew, he was like, okay, well, we're not accepting this, because he thought that this group of people.
Well, no, that's all he took. Most of the, let me just say, a high percentage, based on the area that it was in, was low income. So most of his business ran off of, Buckeye, CareSource, and things of that nature. So.
Okay. So he knew, but he felt as though that African Americans were on
a different level.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And that's sad. So what about, I see that you're all natural hair.
Yeah.
Have your natural hair, has it affected your, has it affected you in the workplace?
I think there is some negativity, because I am in a predominantly white area in the profession that I'm in. There's not a lot of African Americans, especially in this area. So most of the doctors that I've worked with have been Caucasian. A lot of times I would have my hair relaxed, and once I got the job, I would come in natural. and you could see the
Why
look
is
change.
that?
Because I needed to get the job. Now let me take this back. So if I was in DC, it wouldn't be a problem. DC is a whole nother mentality. You're going to see a lot of natural people. So this is accepted. Here, they want something different. You know, like if I had braids and pull back like yours, that would be okay. You understand what I'm saying? Not a lot of color and all of that kind of stuff. But the natural thing, you know, they look at it as unkempt. This is my hair. This is how it grows out my head. You understand what I'm saying? We don't talk about any other ethnicity and how their hair grows out their head. And their hair may grow straight. Mine does not. It's curly.
And some grow coarse. Let's be real. They have that real
well, we won't use those terms. We'll use curly.
Oh, now we can't use coarse now?
Look.
It's offensive now?
Look. I get offended. No, I'm just messing. But we're talking about a pattern. So coarseness. We're talking about curly hair. So there's some tighter. That just means that would be like coarse. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But what you're talking about is coiled hair or curly hair.
Okay. Do you remember the one that the lady that infiltrated the NAACP, the white girl with the coarse hair? Her hair was. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean
that. Was trying to. That was trying
coming off like she was black.
Yes.
She had coarse hair. And then you also have white people now, which is really interesting, that are braiding their hair. And then there's an issue. It's like, okay, well, I went on vacation. I came back and I got my hair braided. Now it's kind of like beautiful. But back in the day, it was like, okay, why? Why did you do that? And then there's black people, us, who have a problem with them braiding their hair. Let me give you the statistics real quick on the, welfare. You have, it says the biggest chunk of welfare recipients are non-Hispanic whites. Hispanics make up 28% of people on welfare recipients, and non-Hispanic blacks make up 23%. So there's your stats on that. All right, let's go back to the hair.
So, well, what is the percentage of African Americans?
23%. That's what I just said.
Oh, 23. You said 23. Okay.
23.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Hispanics is 28, and the biggest chunk of welfare recipients are whites. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, back to the hair.
Oh, what was I saying? You can't take me off track.
Right. And I can't stand drinking out of a cup straight. I need a straw. Right. But go ahead.
I just think we need to accept people and how their hair grows. I don't think it should be. And even like, if you feel like dreading your hair, as long as you're clean, you smell good, and you look decent, there shouldn't be a problem unless you're in an arena that requires that.
Okay, Catholic school. I knew from Catholic school that your hair couldn't be past your shoulders. Mm-hmm. But girls could. So there were some boys because they were young, some boys who their hair was longer because they had it dreaded up, but that was an issue. But if it was pulled up above their shoulders, what would be the problem?
I don't see a problem. It's not on their shoulder.
And it's not on their shoulders. And I saw that part of it. Then I saw where it's in the handbook, and this is what you decide, almost like what you were saying, i.e., you did what you did, you got the job, and then you went natural after you got the job. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to the school, I'm putting my child in the school, I'm looking at the handbook, this is the requirements. Why am I trying to go against, now that you've wronged my child, or I feel as though that you wronged my child, and I want them to have their hair, why should they have to cut their hair? But the handbook was given to you prior to. So why is it that we go in and want to change the rules because of what we want?
A lot of times we don't read the rules.
Girl, you ain't lying when you look at that doggone dress code, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times we don't read the rules. So, I mean, I think that's where it lies at. But I don't think it's okay for somebody to go in and cut my child's hair. That's not going to happen.
Or okay, so if your child is there and our stipulations are that the hair cannot be past the shoulders, he needs a haircut, what do you do? as a parent?
That's a good question because I'm rebellious. You can't tell me that can't happen.
And
Yeah.
that's why I have you on the show, because I know that you are. So
Yeah.
how do you go against their rules? Why don't you just remove your child from the school if you don't like the rules? Or are they being racist, saying, no, this, you just want him to cut his hair, but the girls can have their hair, past their shoulders?
Now it becomes a thin line because you can't equate the men, the boys and the girls. We need to just stay strictly boys across the board if this is what we're talking about, right?
Okay.
So the rules should follow for everybody. We're talking about male.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have Joseph come in with long hair, but because Jamal came in with long hair, now we have a problem. Long hair with dreads. You understand what I'm saying? If that standard is for across the board, it needs to be across the board. I don't have a problem with that. But if Joseph hair is somewhat long into his shoulder and there's no problem,
Mm-hmm.
but Jamal's dreads
And they're the
is a
same length,
problem,
and Jamal's dreads is a problem.
then I
That's
got
a
a problem. Yes.
Okay.
And that's where my rebellion would come in at. You know what I mean? Because to me that's not a fair assessment.
Okay.
I was watching something on YouTube, and it was a Black guy going into this, I want to say maybe an upper scale restaurant, and they was like, "Oh, sir, you can't come in here like this."
Like what?
But he had on like a white tennis shoe, say a Oxford or whatever.
Okay.
You're not allowed in here. But this little boy had a tennis shoe.
I think I remember that. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
If you can't have tennis shoes on and those type, it shouldn't matter whether you're a child or an adult. And I didn't see anything wrong with it across the board. Then you don't run into those issues, with singling out and things of that nature.
Okay. And you do have to be fair and consistent. And that's what it boils down to, fair and consistent. Now, I do want to ask you this as a Black woman, African American, as a brown skinned woman, that's what we're talking about.
Brown skin girl.
Brown skinned girl. When you decided to go natural, when you decided that whole transition, how was that for you from the public?
That's hard to answer because I still get a little flack. Well, why don't you wear your hair straight? Because I don't want to. It damages the hair. Now, whether some people say it doesn't, I know that it changes cross bonds in the hair and the fragility of the hair. I aspire because I like healthy hair. I really don't care what people think because I've always been one. I'm going to do me. If I asked you, that's a different thing. But I still get it today. Well, when you going to do something with your hair? Well, what's wrong with my hair?
Well, we don't like it.
That ain't my issue. Okay. That's no issue. That's not my issue. I'm fine with it.
So, okay, now I'm glad you brought that up. So you decide to go natural. Let's talk about the people who decide to go natural and then want to force their beliefs onto you and want you to go natural when you're not interested.
Well, there are. So
you'll be like, why are you putting that relaxer in your hair? Or some people aren't putting relaxers in their hair. Some people have just nice braided hair. And it's like, okay, well, you need to do this. And just like you're saying, like, it's healthier. But if that person, you want your hair the way that you want it for you, why can't you accept the fact that, and I'm just speaking generally, why can't you accept the fact that that person wants their hair their way?
Well, this is my thing. And I've always did that with my patients. I think once people have a level of education on things, you can make a conscious decision. And one of my issues. I like for people to go into things really knowing what they're getting into, right?
Okay,
So
fully educated.
Right, fully educated. So when we look at when we're putting chemicals in our hair, these things go in our body. They're talking about the leaching. I mean, even if you do the research on it, we're talking about causing cancer. You get skin burns. So there's a lot of things that go along with that. They've even linked it to fibroids in women. And how many of us have fibroids?
I don't know, because I don't. But thank God.
What I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying, and they're linking these things that we're doing to our bodies that is a causative factor
that we're doing to our hair that's affecting our bodies.
Correct. So one of the reasons why I went natural, this is probably about my third or fourth time going natural, so this is not new to me.
But wait, let me say this. Years ago, because even when I met you, you didn't have a relaxer. You were getting your hair pressed, though. You were getting it pressed.
Right. That was, yeah. But that was one of the times when I went natural.
Okay.
But I still wanted to look like everybody else. What society said was the way to look. So I would go in and get my hair pressed. But then you get the breaking off and all of this kind of stuff. Who wants that?
Well, it look broke off when it's all, curly. I don't want to offend nobody. When it's curly, you can't really tell if it's broken off or not, because it's like it's tight and it's curly.
Wait a minute, but I know.
That's what matters. That's what matters, right?
Come on, that's what matters, because you can see a lot, and this as well. You can look at somebody's hair and be like, "Ooh, girl, they need to get into the hairdresser and get them ends clipped." And I don't understand why African American women are so afraid to get their hair trimmed.
Because they like the length and it'd be raggedy on the ends, and
absolutely. But that's why
the hair does not grow when it's uneven.
And it's just like a plant. If you don't water it and trim it, it's gonna start looking raggedy.
It's like pruning.
Right, exactly. And our hair is like a plant. It requires moisture. If you don't do the things that you need for your hair.
How about those people to be like, "Oh, my hair long, they have it down here, and then the other part is up here."
Wait a minute, no, but when you look at the hair, like if you pull it apart, you can see the space or the sparsity is not full. That's because you done had broken off hair and you need to get that stuff cut off.
Now, I need to say this, and it's not necessarily from relaxing your hair.
It could be hair, the way you
braids,
comb your hair,
the whole nine. So you have to use a proper comb and all that good stuff that goes along with it. So that's not the only reason. Now,
that agitates me is people that don't comb from the ends up. They come from the scalp down. That's not the way you comb hair.
But it's learned.
I know.
It's learned. So
but I used to do it too. I had to relearn.
Yes. It's learned. And you want to untangle it. But here's the thing. When you said you like it, when we were talking about the whole natural thing, it's because you like it. I'll tell you my thought process when you had the people that try to force their beliefs on to you, like, okay, well, you need to go natural because A, B, C, and D. Wait a minute, that's you. That's what you want to do, and that's what you learned. But I felt like when they were pushing it on people, and this is somebody that I know, when she was pushing it on people, it's because that's what you want to do. And she did have short hair. She had an issue with growing her hair even when we were little. And now it's like, okay, we can do this thing. Almost like the like when Anita Baker came out, all the people that had short hair, they was in, like, yay, finally it's in. Toni Braxton came, boom. I'm finally good. I'm not the girl with the brown girl with the short hair. You know what I mean? Right. But then you had one person tried to push it and like, oh, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, and assuming that people have relaxers when they didn't have relaxers. And I asked the question, I said, why do you want everybody else to do what you're doing so that you can feel comfortable? So to be the masses is going natural.
Right.
I'm like, no, let us do what we do now. We had a mutual friend, and I did see the person, and anybody that knows me, I'm very honest. I seen the person that we were out at the store we were at a retail store. And the girl talked her into going natural. Well, look a mess. And so, don't ask me, do you know what I'm talking about? I think you might know. Don't ask me how do it look. You know what I mean? I have grown because my mother said, don't volunteer. If they ask you, then tell them don't volunteer.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I
So
haven't gotten there yet, but okay.
I have grown.
Right.
So I didn't mention it, but I was happy she asked me. She's like, how you like my hair? I'm natural. I said, I see. I said, what'd you say? She said, how you like it? I said, I don't. It look a mess. And it looked a mess. And I told her, so she started laughing. She's like, I'm glad I ran into you. She said, everybody else talking about something. Okay, sis. Okay, sis. Listen, just because you hear okay, sis, does not mean that they like you.
It's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Because some folks will lie to you.
Right. Okay, sis. That means I see you. You know what I mean? But that person talked her into going natural. But honey, put your wigs back on, put your relaxer back on, because that worked for you. So we have to do what works for us. And then you have those who have a problem with, okay, you wear makeup. Well, they don't wear makeup. If they don't want to wear makeup, they don't have to. But if they like it, why do I jump on the black, and I'm using air quotes, black bandwagon and go natural, sis, go natural? Why? You don't need to wear that. I don't need you to tell me what I need to wear. You know what I mean? If I want to wear a face full of makeup, I want to be, face beat to the gods, let me do me. And yeah, you know about that. And if you're like, okay, well, I know it's healthier skin, but that's what you want for you. We all have choices.
Have a different road. I have a girlfriend, and I always tell her about not relaxing her hair so much.
And what does she say to you?
But she wants it super straight. Well, you know what? When you put a relaxer in for a certain amount of time, is breaking down the cross bonds. Cross bonds is what keeps the hair strengthened. And so when you're taking a perm and you're breaking that down, you're thinning out your hair. And then you want to put a perm color on top of that, which breaks the cross bonds down more. Well, and then you call me and say, "All my hair is breaking off."
Well, girl, but if you want to do the color, I got to jump in here as a licensed cosmetologist in 91. With the color, you go with a temp, go with a rinse if you want to do that.
But I want to say that, but peroxide.
A rinse, you're not using peroxide unless it's a semi-permanent or permanent. That's when you go with the peroxide and the color.
But they're not rinsing.
But this is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna speak to that on this. If you want to look a certain way, you do what you need to do to make it happen. And I hate to say it that way, but it's just the real deal. The relaxer. You want your hair straight? Okay, because this is what we had, the Barbie dolls. You know what I mean? When we're watching cartoons when we're young, this is what we're supposed to look like. Then when the black Barbies came out, we were so happy, like, yes, she had the pretty hair, and this was the black Barbie. The black Barbie didn't have the nappy hair. Oh, I'm sorry, the curly hair. You know what I mean? So it was like, but then who chose that doll?
It wasn't us.
Right. We chose the doll that society said is the cute doll. And when we get older, you have to love the skin that you're in. Who you are, and say, okay, this is me. This is who I am. And I'm comfortable with it. But until we get comfortable with it, meaning ourselves, nobody else is going to accept it.
Right.
Others aren't going to accept it. With the same, different people called. It was like, oh, why don't you go natural? You should go natural. If I go natural, I was told I had a curl. Remember the curls? So I'm like, sis, here, okay, sis, you don't want me to go natural because then you're gonna have a problem with that hair because it's not looking like yours.
But on your hair, it's not gonna last long anyway because of the type of hair you got.
Then it'd be like, she rolled her hair. I don't understand why we are so obsessed and consumed with how somebody else is looking instead of us and what we want for ourselves. Now, what you started off saying at the beginning of the show, when you said when you went in, you got the interview, your hair was straight, and then once you got it, then boom. A lot of us do that because even even me, when I'm going in for an interview, if I'm going for an interview, I'm not going with braids. And why is that? It is because of the very same reason that you said. It's like, okay, I got to get the job. This is who I am. Don't prejudge me based off of my style. You know what I mean? Because people will look at that and say, oh, okay, well, she have braids. Okay, here's the Black girl with braids. Even being,
And that even goes to a whole nother mentality. When I see that, now you Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice, or the girl that was a drunk in Poetic Justice. You know,
right.
it's an equation. You know, my hair right now, if I was wearing it in an afro,
I'm going back to the Black Panthers.
I'm going back to the Black Panthers. So
Guilty by association.
It's associated with a fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is associated with a fight.
Mm-hmm. Is what is mine associated with? The male people busting into family reunions, eating. Right. Like, oh, okay.
Cousin.
Right. Oh, she must like drug dealers. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's it. And they do have even like you see where they had a power couple is a drug dealer and a nurse, or a STNA. Right. Like, why would our people, why do we do that with our people? The crabs in the barrel syndrome. Let's talk about that.
Wow. Pulling somebody down to try to get to the top.
Why can't we all run for office? No, let me run. Only I can do that. Or a position, or whatever it is. It's like, I'm the only one. Everybody get behind me. Let me go and do it. But all of us can't do it. Why do we do that?
Or feeling threatened about your position because somebody else comes in. Can't nobody walk in a door that I'm employed at and put me at unease. Because if you got some knowledge and you got more than I do, guess what? I'm going to pick your brain and we're going to be on the same level. You are an asset to me, not a hindrance. And so why do I?
That's what we need to understand. It's an asset. And here's my thing. And when you said like the job or somebody taking your position or afraid of your position, bring that person on. I've always been told, and I'm blessed in that aspect. If you are the smartest one in your circle,
you got a bad circle. You need to get a circle.
Because they're going to pull from you. And what I got from that is your people going to pull from you, and then you're going to be empty. You have to keep filling. People need to deposit. You know, if people keep withdrawing, then you're empty.
Absolutely. You know, you need somebody pouring in. You need somebody pouring in. And on that note, my friends, I'm about to put an X on y'all because it's time for me to elevate. You know who you are.
Like, I got to elevate. Bye-bye. I'll see you.
A little bit higher.
And you know what's interesting is that you can have friends like for a long time. And then you talk to different people at different times because you need something different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm not leaving you behind and like, I'll never speak to you again. I'll talk to you. Hey, how you doing? Because this is what I need and I know what you have to offer. So this is what I need this information from you. So in everything, you know, they were like, oh, that person, they just a user. Listen, just like you said, picking your brain. And they're like, oh, they just want what I have. Honey, it's bigger than that. But yes, it is. I want what you have, but nothing material. It's all mental. It's all mental. Exactly. And I'm like, and that you can't buy.
No, at all.
And it's not like the person is not talking to you again. And this is for my listening audience. It's not, and regardless of what color you are, it's not that they've elevated and left you behind. They elevated to learn more and to gain more. So guess what?
And to grow.
To grow, right? So your job, if you still want to hang out and be with that person, it's like, I showed you the way. You saw the way to go. This is the way I went. It's up to you to go. You could go the same path if you want to because you were there and you saw it. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the deal. Now, if you want it, read a book. Jump on the bill. Get with different, you're with different groups for different reasons. And that's why I did that starting lineup. Some people you got to bench. Some you know when to put them in the game. Some you know when to trade out. Because once you cross me and I know that I can't trust you, the whole like Kevin Hart situation where his personal assistant was robbing him. I got to trade you out. It's over. It's done. And it's not that I don't care about you. I'm gonna pray for you, but I'm gonna keep on moving.
Right.
So when,
like Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are,
believe
believe
them.
and quit
Believe
trying
them.
to change folks.
Why?
Quit.
Why is that? Because they see the potential?
Well, that too, but there are people who are fixers, and I'm one of them. So I like to fix things, if that makes sense. And so if I can see how I can help somebody to better them, that's what I'll try to do. You understand what I'm saying? It's like taking somebody to another, and sometimes even if they don't want to go there.
See, that's where, yeah, you do. And that's where I was going with the whole natural thing. You want to fix people, but if they don't want to be fixed and they think that they're already fixed, they're fixed in their mind, in their genre, or wherever they are at that moment, those, let them people be. Now, when you say you like to fix people, when you choose your men, do you find yourself choosing men that are broken? And then you find yourself, here's the thing too, and then you find yourself, I'm just speaking generally, not you per se, you find yourself trying to fix this person and they don't want to be fixed. And then you butt heads because you're trying to make them greater.
Fix them. Right.
You're like, I see, because you see the potential. And,
yes.
And that's where, to me, you already know I ain't trying to fix you. Call me selfish, call me.
Wait a minute. Nuh-uh. You like this. Squirrel. You go.
Problem, I'm out.
Right.
But listen, but here's why, honestly. When you are with someone, and if they're really needy, and I tell people constantly, I'm not the person, if you have low self-esteem, and you are needy, I am not the person to be with, because I'm very direct. And the reason I'm direct is probably because I don't have time. I don't have the time. And I've never had the time, because as a child, I've been busy. I was in the sports. I was in the drama club. I was busy. So I never had time to sit and twiddle my thumbs to say, oh, okay, I can fix you. You got to come to me already fixed.
Right.
And what happens, even like the platform that I have, which is, and I stand by the 100%, I'm here to encourage, inspire, and motivate people. Okay. Now, if I'm encouraging and inspiring and motivating people, how am I going to do that if you're pulling everything from me? I need to give to the people. You know, like I got a little bit for you, but if you're draining me, I don't have anything for the people. And that's when you have to know your purpose and say, okay, this is my purpose, and understand the enemy. Am I calling you the devil? I'm not calling you the devil, but the devil does use people.
Absolutely.
And they'll put people in place and say, okay, here, I need you to do this because this person is doing this, and you'll get off your path. That's why, listen, though, women are weak for men. We can't help it because we're the help meet. That's what it is. The help meet, right? Right, Bible banger?
That's what it says.
And we were made from his rib. So we're going to constantly go that direction, but you got to have the right person and be evenly yoked.
Oh man, that's so important.
That's why listen. So just imagine, like, what is it, bulls? What is it that they be, mules that be having the yoke on their neck? So
yes.
So you sitting there and I'm going, like you said, squirrel, I'm out. And then you sitting there sitting down, taking a break, and I'm trying to go out. I can't carry you. That load is heavy. So that's why, that is my reason for it. It's like, nope, if you got low self-esteem, if you need somebody to sit there and listen, you need to go to a doctor, because that is not what I do.
Not where you have.
Yeah, there's people that do that. They listen to your problems. I don't want them, because I know me, I'll take them on for myself. Even like church. And we went to church together. When I would sit up in the balcony, I don't want to know her. Not that I'm antisocial, because I'm the most social person you know. And I like everybody, and I like them for who they are. Now, I won't, if you're messy, I'm not going to fool with you, but I know who you are. I still speak. Right. I'm not fooling with you, but I know that I'll take on your issues, and I'll be wondering, oh, I hope Tracy and her babies got food. You know what I mean? And then I'll get off my path. I need to give me my message. This is what I need. This is for me. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi. I'll help you. and then I'm moving forward.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what it is. And you said that you're a fixer. And there are the givers and the takers.
And you're right. It's very draining.
Mhm.
Very draining.
And when do you let go as a fixer? When do you say enough is enough?
When that's who you are, how do you?
Do you find
You
yourself
know,
hurt a lot? Like, or I know you, but I'm saying like,
because you see my look.
well, I already know. I already know. So y'all don't know my guest. I know my guest. And that's why I had her on the very first show of Brown Skin, because I'm like, she'll be like, oh girl, bye. And I'm like,
right.
well, wait a minute. But that's because you love the skin that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And you know you, and you know your value, and you know your worth. Now, there are some men, and I'm gonna have to get a guy on. I'm not a man, so I can't speak for a man. I'm gonna have to get a man on to speak for themselves, to speak for men. You know what I mean? It's some of them will look for the strength, and they want the strength, and they'll act like, oh, okay, they have the confidence. It's like, here you go, but they're using you, the confident woman, to build themselves up. And then you'll see that, oh man.
And then you become a problem.
Yes, then you're a problem. They try to knock you down and tell you where you have issues.
Absolutely.
Doses. Bye. See you. Can't do it.
Mm-mm. Squirrel. Gone.
Bye-bye. Just like with little Kim.
Mm-hmm.
The old little Kim, and I have to say the old and the new. And you,
the old little Kim was
beautiful. For the listening audience, I'm going to refer to her as the old and the new, because the new looked like Zsa Zsa Gabor. And she did an interview, and she was saying that men, so she changed for men. And she said that men, I can't remember who was interviewing her, but you guys can find that information. I'm sure you can find that interview on the World Wide Web, where she was saying that men were leaving her. She was petite, and she was beautiful. I thought she was a beautiful brown skin girl.
Yeah, yeah.
She changed the color of her skin, her hair. She said that men were leaving her for white women or girls that were light skinned. And you got boobs and stuff. Like, why? Because you don't like the skin you're in. Where? And we know that dysmorphia is a mental disorder, as we were talking about prior to the show. What did she see that we didn't see?
And it may even be deeper than the men.
But she said that. She said that men.
I understand that, but sometimes people say things and not know the root of the problem. You understand what I'm saying? The men may have exacerbated the problem. Mm-hmm. But let's go to her childhood. When you really begin to dig into people's lives and you wonder why and who they are, just look at how they were brought up. You don't know if she had a darker or a lighter skinned sister and one was favored on. There are so many factors that can go into her home life that when she got to the area where she's dating, now that opens a whole nother can of worms. And those men may not have left her for that reason.
But she's thinking they left her for that. Just as Coming to America. Remember? Mm-hmm. Lisa was the light-skinned sister. I can't remember and that's sad. I can't remember the younger sister's name, but she said she gets all the good guys.
Right.
I'm glad that that Eddie Murphy did show that part. I got that part, but a lot of people probably missed it. And she was the lighter sister who got the prince. And the darker sister ended up getting the ex-boyfriend, trying to get him, but from McDowell's? Girl, or whatever. Listen, I can't wait to see it. You already know I love the entertainment, but mm-hmm. It was a difference. So yeah, you do that. That's something to think about. You mm-hmm. do have a point, and it could be. And
a lot of our issues. I mean, if we really go in and we delve, because sometimes we only delve on to the surface of that thing.
Okay.
But if you go down to the core, mm-hmm. when you fix a problem. You don't fix it by giving you metformin or some heart pill. You fix it from the root. What caused all of this?
Okay, like the stress. The stress for high blood pressure. She said some high blood pressure medicine and some diabetic medicine. Yeah.
But I mean, those
I
are
get it.
cover-ups. Those are cover-ups.
That's treating the symptoms.
Right. That's not the core of that problem. Sorry to go medical on you, but
no, that's all right.
That's
you
the only
know
way
I can hang. You know I can hang. It's good. It's good.
Right.
That is something to think about. But how do we fix that without knowing?
I was talking to someone yesterday, and again, in my fix it mode.
Okay.
But I was talking to them, and I said, it's a stigma against therapy, mental health therapy.
With us, yes.
And I do not think that there should be a stigma for mental health therapy, because it can help you to become whole. I would rather not be broken. I would rather be whole, because you can function better. So when I found myself in a position where I wasn't functioning because of the loss of my mom, I had to put aside the thought that, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy if I'm going to a therapist. It's like, no, you need your mental health. You need to go get some help to help you through that grieving process so that you can process those things. And there's nothing negative or anything about that. But society has put a negative thing. And so we have so many broken people and hurt people walking around here that are not whole. Functioning as whole, but they are torn to pieces.
So do you think that's where the crabs in the barrel syndrome stem from?
There's
not being whole.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Because whole is going to look whole is going to look different for a lot of people. Your whole and my whole are two different things based on our life experiences, because you may not be broken where I'm broken.
You have a point. When I was younger, I had a guest on the show. I'm going to have him on Brown Skin as well. I had a guest on the show, and I shared something that I thought was normal. When I was younger, I thought that everyone had the same childhood as I had. And he was outdone, and I was speaking my truth. You come home from school, you change your clothes, you watch the after school special. You get ready for bed at 8:00. I genuinely thought, and guess what? I was living in the projects. So I genuinely thought that everyone had the same childhood that I had. I was outdone when I heard different stories as I got older. I was like, what? People not having food. And again, let me be clear. We lived in the projects. Mm-hmm. My mother was a single mother. I knew my father, and I'm just going to put this out here. Some people, they're like, oh, okay, well, was the father a deadbeat? Was this, was that? My father was in the war, and mentally he wasn't there. So it's like physically, yeah, that's him over there, but he was so messed up mentally. Even like when I had my son, my son was running. He was thinking of an armed war. He jumped behind like he was in war, jumped behind the couch. And my son thought it was a game, and it's like, wait a second, like, hold on, so mentally he wasn't there. So when you deal with, okay, they're like, well, my dad wasn't there, and they use that as an excuse or a cop out to me. And like you said, you don't know the core and what they've gone through. And I'm like, I use that to be better. And we have children, we have godchildren, we are placed in,
their
lives for a reason, to make them greater. Mm-hmm. When I see parents that are envious of their children, it's like, no, my frustration comes when my offsprings don't want to do. And I'm like, listen, this is like, will you listen to me? I am here to show you so that you can be greater
And be
than I
better.
am.
Yes, yes.
That's my
Because
job.
I've already been down that road.
Yes.
I've already been down that road. I don't want you to bump your head like I had to. I'm trying to save you from that pothole that's real big in the road, that if you keep on going the way you're going down in that pothole.
I remember an analogy that my mother used to use, and she said, if they say up the road that the bridge is out, why am I going
Why
there?
going on?
Why waste? Why? And so what it was why waste time? Even if it's not out, you know, you have those that don't believe fat meat is greasy. They're going to go anyway, and then they got to turn around. They stuck in traffic. So your road can be a little easier. Your travel can be a little easier if you just avoid that altogether. And even with my mom, the things that she taught me wasn't from her bumping her head. It was to be greater, to be better. And it's really interesting how, you know, you watch them do things and you don't know what path it's going to take. Like, look, cosmetology. My mother was doing hair in the kitchen. Everybody, remember when Jerry curl first came on, everybody got a curl. Hey, I want a curl, I want a curl. And I saw that. That didn't make me say, hey, I want to be a hairdresser.
Right.
Or did it influence me?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it could have. And that's what I did. I saw somebody when I was in elementary school. I saw them years later once I graduated, and they reminded me of what I told them. He said, we were walking up the street. He said, you told me what you were going to do. And then he played it back. He said, you did every single thing that you said. You have to, it manifested.
Right.
It manifested.
Manifest.
And growing up in the projects, like I said, I thought everybody had the same. I thought they had the same childhood that I had. This is what we do. This is what we iron our clothes. You know what I mean? These are things that we do. And then you go out. So back to that, when I found out people were being molested, when I found out people didn't have anything to eat, when I found out I just found out 2 years ago, they said they love to come to our house because they could eat whatever they wanted. Now, I said, what? And it was 4 of them. And we lived in the projects, they lived in the projects, you know what I mean? Same. And they said they used to eat the berries off the tree. Anybody know me? I ain't fooling with no outside nothing. I don't like dirt, none of that.
And she ain't playing in it either. Vegas, right. Can you come over and do this?
I ain't playing when I ain't planting nothing. But she said that she was eating the berries outside of her window. I was so devastated because I had no idea. And then she said, because like her mom, she said, my mom always loved when you came. You were the only one that was allowed at the house. And I said, was it? She said, yes. She said, you never asked for anything.
Oh, wow.
That right there, I was like, huh? She was like, you never asked for anything. You just came there. It was always a good time. We laughed, and then you left and you went home. She said, you never asked for anything. So my mother always welcomed you. And that's what I said. Do people come to people's house and ask for stuff? Like, I didn't want anything. I like the company. That's why I said, once you know, and even when you're younger, your purpose is there. You may not know what it is, but it's like, oh, I just came, sat, chat, and kept on going.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, y'all didn't have food like that. And they had a lock on their refrigerator.
Oh, Lord. Wow. So they was keeping the kids from eating it.
Yes. And I didn't understand that. And it took me these many years to sit here and I'm like, a lock on the refrigerator. And she would just cook and then it was over. It was like it was done. And it made me wonder, like, is that why everybody was skinny when we was younger?
Right.
Like everybody got locks on their refrigerator. Like, what's going on? But when he showed me that, when the guy told me, he looked at me, he was shocked. And I didn't know the things that he went through. I was like, oh my gosh. So we only know our own personal experience, as you stated. That's what the moral of the story is.
You know, I was in a conversation just a couple of days ago with a gentleman, and he's probably almost 60, if he's not 60 already. But he grew up in a when they give their child away,
foster home.
Right. So he had foster. He grew up in the foster system.
Okay.
And so he finally met his mom some years ago. I think maybe when he was 30 or something. It's just been recently. But he said, I still have issues why she never came to look for me. And he said, that bothers me. And he has other brothers, siblings. And he said, I can't get over. He said, I take care of my mother because she needs me. He said, but I wonder why she never came looking for me. I said, I want you to understand that it was not you. You were not the issue. I said, you don't know what your mother went through. I said, if you find out her path, you'll understand why you were where you were. And she probably thought that was the best place for you because she wasn't where she needed to be to take care of you. He said, I can't see that, but I see it clearly.
But he's in it.
Exactly.
But he's in it.
But if he knew her situation, he doesn't know if she was raped. He doesn't know how she was raised. So, we got to look at a whole picture at the reason why people are the way that they are. Some people get on your nerves and you wonder, why in the hell do they keep coming back? Excuse me for using that language.
You're all right, go ahead.
Why do they keep coming around me? But you don't know what they lacked when they were little that made them so needy. We just see the problem of the person and not understanding why that problem is there.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you and I are somewhat only children. We can be by ourselves and be perfectly
fine.
Happy.
Look, I need my space. That's why this social distancing and all that is fine by me. I think
you know what? I appreciated y'all when my mother passed away, but it was too many people in my home. I wasn't used to that. And nobody can ever understand the gratitude I felt when you guys came and helped me, but it was still overwhelming because I'm not used to the many people in my home. You know how you are. My friend had to take me away. He was like, come on. He could see the anxiety on me. Like, I don't like these many people around me. But I've always been a solo person.
Because you're used to it. See, deal with you for a minute.
Right. Just for a minute. But, in some ways, you guys knew what I needed. Or let me say, you thought you knew what I needed. Right. But I do appreciate it. But sometimes you don't understand another person's psyche.
Right. You don't. And you have to, especially during the grieving process, you have to take that into consideration that, okay, these people are here, but after the funeral, then where are they at? You know what I mean? So I usually come like after, or I'll call.
Well, Pat was there. She come fake us, where you at? I'm on the porch.
Right. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna do what I do. Yeah, she did. She's a great person, and she's really a helpful person. And that's where, look, I'm like, we differ that way. I bump my gums and she does. I'm like, she'll show up. When you need her, she'll show up. So I'm grateful for that. But I wanted to hurry up because we only got 2 minutes left. The crabs in the barrel. Do you think that's ever going to go away amongst ourselves? Because it says that, and when I say it says, that means somebody out there. They're constantly saying that Black people are the only nationality that, or ethnic group that can't come together. Is it because everybody wants to win, or the struggle that we've had, or we've heard, or have been taught? Because our history always teaches us they start at the slavery. They don't start when we were kings and queens. They start at the poverty level and slaves, and try to browbeat us and say this is where you came from, and never seeing the shine, never seeing us excel. Do you think that that's where that
comes from? Well, when you have systems that hinder, it's very difficult because everyone is trying to get out.
Oh, all right, lovely people. I like that. Look, I like that. And today's footnote I'm going to give you is, I got 99 problems, but my skin ain't one.
Better say it.
Okay. Thank you for listening to Brown Skinned. This episode of Brown Skinned will be on every Monday at 4 p.m. I appreciate you coming on to talk about topics of brown skin, and not just the issues. It's the clear and uncut conversations about us. Until next week, people, find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. Brown skin, baby.